Today we are going to be experimenting to see the effect pH has on the Maillard reaction. Right here I have a pan with just a neutral oil, and I'm adding our first group, which is diced onions mixed with baking soda. This is our second group, or our control group, which is only diced onions, and finally our acidic group, which is diced onions I've soaked in vinegar for a time. Now I'm turning on the stove and setting a timer. All you really need to do for this reaction is constantly stir the onions, with separate spatulas of course to prevent cross-contamination. I'm also taking samples every other minute, starting at 1 minute, to record the reaction process and to compare each group. Right now I'm taking the first samples. And at this point we can see that the onions soaked in baking, or mixed with baking soda, are starting to darken and bubbling. The reaction is definitely occurring. And at this point the basic onions go a little ham and there's some cross-contamination that happens. I'm taking another sample. At this point, I realized that I used the spatula that I used for the basic onions on the vinegar onions, so there was some cross-contamination there. And the pan is also starting to slide off the heat, and I don't realize till much later, so the control onions aren't getting as much heat as the other onions, and because of these errors I redid the experiment with just the control onions and the vinegar onions, and I will post the results to those at the end. But at this point we can see that the onions mixed with baking soda are turning into like a mushy paste, and they're much darker than the other onions. At this point the clock turned off, so I'm turning it back on, and I'm about to take one of our last samples. I think we're going to do one more. At this point I noticed the pan is off the onions. sorry, the pan is off the stove. And the onions are very dark at this point, and this is our last sample.